What if at one point in time you were the optimistic guy? What if at one point in time you were the person that ran around believing that you could change the world, that you had a strict code that you had to abide by, that you saw yourself as a hero? What if at some point in time all of those notions that you once had were absolutely destroyed? You were broken down to your basic fundamental core, and you realize that trying to be the hero causes more damage than good. That sometimes the ends do justify the means. If one person dies to secure the happiness of 10 billion people, then so be it. I'm really liking the direction that the first two episodes of Invincible decided to take, where we get to see the man that Cecil was in the past. We see him as the guy that's willing to sacrifice his life in order to save others. We see him as the guy who feels remorse and guilt at the fact that he wasn't fast enough to stop that super weapon, that people in that marketplace died because of his hesitation, because of his inadequacy in that situation. And then we see his conviction when he chooses to kill both of those criminals, even though his superior had said that they were essentially rehabilitated. And then we see him deal with the consequences of his actions when he chooses to go to jail. He has the skills if he wanted to break out of prison, but he chooses to stay in there because he sees himself as a murderer. Now, what if suddenly the young version of you popped up in front of you? But this time, the young version of you has superpowers. He can fly, he has super speed, he's practically invulnerable, and he has your exact same drive. One of the things that I'm really, really loving about the way in which Invincible is telling stories is that it's giving us two sides of the coin, where Cecil is essentially that person who is jaded, who was once the beacon of what a hero should be. His experiences in the world with dealing with people, keeping all of these different secrets, having to protect basically the entire planet, has made him into this cynical individual that his boss was. He's basically turned into the version of himself that he never wanted to become, where he's now willing to sacrifice people's lives. He's now willing to work with criminals. He's now willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that there is something that is able to be saved. That he might not be able to save the entire planet, but if he can save at least 23% of the planet, then he's happy with that instead of dealing with an absolute and total loss. And you see this version of Cecil slam directly into the brick wall that is Invincible, where Invincible is basically all of the ideals that Cecil once had. He feels that criminals should go to jail. He feels that if you're a murderer, you should be in prison for life. That there is no rehabilitation for you. That you shouldn't be spying on people and keeping tabs on them and doing shady things behind the scenes to basically control them. You shouldn't have a contingency where you're willing to sacrifice innocent people in order to save, let's say, an entire city or other innocent people. You should try and save as many people as possible. And I love how the way in which Cecil learned that lesson, where he had to learn that no, I cannot save everyone. I have to use whatever means that I have at my disposal to get the job done. This is something that Mark is going to be learning painfully as the series progresses, where we see that when he meets the immortal from the future, he doesn't want to kill him. He's getting his ass kicked. He's being thrown around the entire room. Then he finally spazzes and he rips off Immortal's head. And when he rips off Immortal's head, there's that level of guilt and shame and depression, and he's essentially going through the exact same experiences that Cecil has essentially gone through. That by the end of this season, we will see Mark in a place that Cecil has essentially been in for the last 40 years, where he's no longer going to be holding back. He's going to be more willing to essentially go out and kill criminals to basically put them down. He's going to be willing to work with former criminals if those former criminals can assist him in completing whatever his mission or whatever his task is. You're seeing him evolve from basically the young, naive superhero that believes that because he's a superhero, he can save everyone, to the guy that runs the calculations in his head, that's more cold, that's a little bit more cerebral. And one of the things that I'm really, really enjoying is the fact that we are using Adam Eve as the thing that's going to ground him. Adam Eve is the person that's going to basically maintain some form of Mark's humanity so that he doesn't lose his way. We see that when he comes back and he's depressed and he's broken and he's sitting at that cafe across from her, he's able to basically tell her what's going on with him, how he feels about what he has just done. And then she's able to reassure him, make him understand that he had to make a difficult decision, but at the end of the day, it was the right decision to save all of these people, and that he is still fundamentally a good man at his core, even if basically what he did in Mark's own eyes is tantamount to murder. The rest of the season is going to be absolute fucking cinema. I cannot wait for the rest of this to be animated. I'm having an absolute blast. But let me know how you guys are feeling about Invincible. Comment down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.